Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtrapraishva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishne Swadhamopagate Dhanamajnanadibhisaha Kalau Nashtadrishamesha Puranarko Dhunodita. Grantaraj Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 25. This chapter is entitled, The Glories of Lord Ananta. This is not so much often studied section of the Bhagavatam, but it's relevant to begin here to discuss the glories of Lord Balaram. His expansion is Anantadev, and we'll hear what Shukdev Goswami has to say about this. Very short chapter, only 15 texts, so we'll go through this quickly. First I'll read the chapter summary, but I'll make some comments from time to time. So let us begin with Mangalacharana. Om Agnanatimirantasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namaste Balinam Shrestha Namaste Dharani Dhara Pralambare Namaste Sto Trahimam Krishna Purvaja. We can offer our respectful obeisances today unto the older brother of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is called Ramanuja because he's the younger brother of Balaram. So he's the strongest of the strong. He's the best of those who are strong. And he in fact is Dharani Dhara. He upholds this whole universe, all the whole worlds he upholds, as Anantadev. We'll read about that. And he's the killer of the enemy of this Pralambasura and other demons in Krishna's pastimes. Sometimes Balaram kills them. Srila Prabhupada writes in the 10th canto, one purport, that in Krishna's transcendental pastimes, Lord Krishna is the chief hero, but Balaram provides additional help. So that's Balaram's position. Pralambare namastestu trahimam Krishna Purvaja. Dear older brother of Lord Krishna, please deliver me. A traditional shloka. So chapter 25 in the 5th canto begins with Shukadeva Goswami describing Ananta, the source of Lord Shiva. Lord Ananta, whose body is completely spiritual, resides at the root of the planet Patala. He always lives in the core of Lord Shiva's heart and helps him destroy the universe. Ananta instructs Lord Shiva how to destroy the cosmos, and thus he is sometimes called Tamasi, one who is in the mode of darkness. He is the original deity of material consciousness, and because he attracts all living entities, he is sometimes known as Sankarshana. The entire material world is situated on the hoods of Lord Sankarshana. From his forehead, he transmits to Lord Shiva the power to destroy the material world. Because Lord Sankarshana is an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, many devotees offer him prayers. And in the planetary system of Patala, all these suras, asuras, gandharvas, vidyadharas, and learned sages offer him their respectful obeisances. The Lord talks with them in a sweet voice. His bodily construction is completely spiritual and very, very beautiful. Anyone who hears about him from a proper spiritual master becomes free from all material conceptions of life. The entire material energy is working according to the plans of Anantadeva. Therefore, we should regard him as the root cause of the material creation. There is no end to his strength, and no one can fully describe him, even with countless mouths. Therefore, he is called Ananta, unlimited. Being very merciful toward all living entities, he has exhibited his spiritual body. Shukadeva Goswami describes the glories of Anantadev to Maharaj Parikshit in this way. Shukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, approximately 240,000 miles beneath the planet Patala lives another incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the expansion of Lord Vishnu known as Ananta, or Lord Sankarshana. He was always in the transcendental position, but because he is worshipped by Lord Shiva, the deity of Tamoguna, for darkness, he is sometimes called Tamasi. Lord Ananta is the predominating deity of the material mode of ignorance, as well as the false ego of all conditioned souls." Raise your hand if you have trouble with false ego. Yeah, because many of us are either not shy or honest. We all have problems with false ego, and that in fact is the influence of Baladev in this form of Tamasi or Ananta. He controls who goes into ignorance and who comes out of ignorance. This morning when we saw the deities, of course, you would expect today that Krishna Balaram looked very, very nice. Until you see Radharani. Somehow or other, she's always most prominent. Prabodhananda Saraswati, he has glorified Srimati Radharani in one place, that she is Ati Sandra Kripaika Sindhu. Ati Sandra Kripaika Sindhu. She is the unique ocean, the repository of highly concentrated mercy in infinite degree. And she radiates this mercy. We all can please the Lord only by the mercy of Srimati Radharani, because in fact, she is his Vladini Shakti. He's pleased only by Vladini Shakti. So this is Srimati Radharani's infinite grace. But we cannot access. Well, how much can you take? Just think about this. Ghani bhuta, in Sanskrit we say, to be highly concentrated, or here he says, atisandra, condensed. Sometimes you find they take, say, fruit juice and they condense it into a concentrate. And then nobody can drink that. It's very heavy to try to drink that. You can't really drink that. You have to dilute it, you see. So this is Srimati Radharani's mercy. This Vrindavan Dham is the place of Srimati Radharani. Yatradhipatyam vrashabhanu putrya yeno deye prema sukham jananam yasmin mamasha balavat yatosmin mamastu vrindavana eva vasaha. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I believe it is, he prays, may my residence only be in Vrindavan, always. And he's glorifying this place because here Srimati Radharani has been established as the ruling monarch, the queen of Vrindavan, Vrindavaneshwari Radharani. So, yatradhipatyam vrishabhanuputra yeno diyet prema sukham jananam. This is the place where you can find people who are mad with love of Godhead. There's a story. I was looking at a Tamalsri yesterday, and I remembered there's a story of one old man, or maybe I don't remember who exactly, one devotee at Govardhan, for some inexplicable reason, climbed up into the top of a tree and remained there for the next 38 years, never came down again. Stayed in the tree and was always chanting the names of Radha and Krishna. This is a place where you can find such people, mad with love of Godhead, drunk with the ecstasy of Krishna Prema. Nowhere else is it manifest. So Srimati Radharani is radiating her divine mercy here in this place. And sometimes we get a glimpse of it. That's why we're all attracted to Sri Vrindavan Dham. But in fact, the way that we get to her, to appreciate her, really, is to go through Balaram. And Balaram is manifested also not directly, but in this age, Balaram is manifest as whom? Nityananda, Nityananda, Anantananda, and Nityananda. And Nityananda also we can hardly access directly. How does the mercy of Nityananda flow unto all of us? Where did we all get this contact of Krishna consciousness? Where did we get it from? How did we get it? Think about it. Mostly we came from books, Srila Prabhupada's books. That means a devotee, Mahabhagavata. So, but Lord Balaram is the Adi Guru. He's the Adi Guru. He's the original spiritual master. Guru in the sense of teacher, we'll get to that in a moment, hopefully, if we have time. But also Guru in the sense that he is elder, Guru Jana. Lord Balaram is a repository of three rasas, Vatsalya, Sakhya, and Dasya. And Dasya Bhav is prominent actually in all of Krishna's devotees. So we have to we have to take shelter of Lord Balaram, and he has infinite strength, Ananta, and he can help us. When Bhaktivedanta Thakur is praying to his spiritual master, therefore, we can understand where that strength is coming from. He says, Gurudev kripa bindu diya, koro e dashe, trinabheka tihin. Humiliate me, please. He's praying to his spiritual master. Make me more humble than a blade of grass, and without any unnecessary desires or aspirations. Shakale shahane bal diya koro. Nijamane sprihahim. Where does the strength come from? It comes from Balaram, but it comes through the spiritual master in this way. What strength is he asking for in this song? Who knows? What does it mean? Shakale shahane bal diakoro, nijamane sprihahim. Give me the strength to bear all the difficulties that life can hurl at you, unmercifully, uninterruptedly sometimes it seems. This world can be such a hard place, and the people within it can also be very hard to deal with. So he's asking for the strength to tolerate. And also, nijamani. How you can do that unless you're more humble than a blade of grass. In the Brihad Bhagavatamritam, Sanatana Goswami says, prema, Krishna prema, is actually nothing but absolute, unqualified, complete humility. It's not different. As soon as we realize this humility, then we immediately have Krishna prema, because it's nothing but that. But it comes through the Lord's agents. It comes through the spiritual master, sometimes even indirectly, not from the spiritual master directly, but from his representatives. Therefore we say, Vancha kalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha. Kripa sindhu, small kripa sindhus. She is the infinite kripa sindhu, and the devotees are small kripa sindhus. But all of them are coming from Balaram. They're all representing this Adi Guru, potency of the Lord. So, but Balaram is always in the transcendental position, but he's called tamasi because he regulates some of us who are not willing to submit to the mercy of the Lord, or more likely the Lord's representatives. For those persons, he allows them to remain in ignorance. I was thinking yesterday when I was walking in the MVT, these monkeys, they don't have the capacity to understand why the men with blue shirts and sticks are so cruel to them. They don't have the capacity to understand. All they know is that these guys have sticks, and they're always on us. That much they can realize. But they can't see the subtlety of the relationship that somebody has hired these men. All the other residents, with whom the monkeys have no problem, and who have no problem with the monkeys also, most of the time at least, they don't understand the dynamic. There's some subtle relationship that they cannot access because they don't have the capacity. They don't have the acumen. In much the same way, we can't understand so many things that are going on because we're covered by tamoguna, ignorance. Balaram lifts that covering because he's in charge of it. Lord Shiva is but his expansion. Mahavishnu is also his kala. Kala means the part of a part. This is his glory. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, in fact. So therefore he regulates the false ego, and he can lift the false ego as well. When a conditioned living being thinks, I'm the enjoyer, this material world is meant to be enjoyed by me, this conception of life is dictated to him by sankarshana. Thus the mundane conditioned soul thinks himself to be the Supreme Lord. Shukdev Goswami continued, this great universe situated on one of Anantadev's thousands of hoods appears just like a white mustard seed. He doesn't even know it's there, Vrindavan Das Thakur writes. It's infinitesimal compared to the hood of Lord Ananta. At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes angry, slightly angry. Then from between his two eyebrows appears the three-eyed Rudra, carrying a trident. This Rudra, who is known as Sankarshana, is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras, or incarnations of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. Recently I was in the Rath Yatra in Los Angeles, and in Los Angeles the system is that they hire limousines to carry Lord Jagannath, Lord Balaram and Lady Subhadra, as well as Srila Prabhupada, to the site of the Rath Yatra. And they're open limousines because the weather is usually nice at that time. So you see these cars driving down the freeway with Jagannath, Balaram, Subhadra in them, enjoying the Southern California weather. So when the cars pulled up to the site of the Rath Yatra, first I saw Lord Balaram, and Lord Balaram, because it's Rath Yatra, he's very highly decorated, and he's got golden weapons. What are Balaram's weapons? He holds a club. In his right hand, he was holding a club. In his left hand, he holds plow. So I was looking at his arm, and I was admiring his extreme beauty, as Prabhupada was mentioning here a moment ago, and appreciating that these arms are so mighty. Dorabhirasyanna dharmam. Anything adharmic, he can smash to bits with these arms, and especially if he's holding a club. I was hoping he wasn't going to smash me. We also should hope that with his plow he can draw us, because the name Sankarshana means that. Krishi, he's in charge of agriculture. Prabhupada writes this in the one purport of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Krishna and Balaram together, they represent these two aspects of Sanatana Dharma that are so important for human society. One of them is Gorakshya, to protect the cows. Who protects the cows? Gopala, Krishna. And Krishi Gorakshya. Krishi means agriculture, and that's Balaram's department. So instead of plowing land in order to cultivate it, he's plowing our hearts. He's got his plow and he's trying to pull us. Sankarshana means he's drawing us towards Lord Krishna. Again, he does that through the divine grace of the bona fide spiritual master. The other day we heard such a wonderful lecture by Srila Prabhupada. How many people here listen to Srila Prabhupada's recorded lectures every day? Raise your hand. Good. Because that's really the source of everything. All strength, everything. Balaram is there completely. So he writes this. Krishi Gorakshya means Krishna Balaram. There's one 7th canto purport, 7th canto, chapter 15, text 25 or thereabouts. He also talks about Achyuta Bala. Achyuta Bala means Krishna and Balaram. He says a few things about this. But here we see that actually Lord Shiva is, in his Rudra manifestation, angry. It's coming from Balaram, because Balaram also gets angry sometimes. This is his divine Leela. So Prabhupada writes here in the purport, in each creation, the living entities are given a chance to close their business as conditioned souls. When they misuse this opportunity and do not go back home, back to Godhead, Lord Sankarshan becomes angry. The 11 Rudras, expansions of Lord Shiva, come out of Lord Sankarshan's eyebrows due to his angry mood, and all of them together devastate the entire creation. Now, the next verse. The pink, transparent toenails of the Lord's lotus feet are exactly like valuable gems polished to a mirror finish. When the unalloyed devotees and the leaders of the snakes offer their obeisances to Lord Sankarshana with great devotion, they become very joyful upon seeing their own beautiful faces reflected in his toenails. Their cheeks are decorated with glittering earrings, and the beauty of their faces is extremely pleasing to see. Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautifully decorated with bangles, and completely spiritual. They're white, and so they appear like silver columns. When the beautiful princesses of the Serpent Kings, hoping for the Lord's auspicious blessing, smear their arms with aguru pulp, sandalwood pulp, and kumkuma, the touch of his limbs awakens lusty desires within them. Understanding their minds, the Lord looks at the princesses with a merciful smile, and they become bashful, realizing that he knows their desires. Then they smile beautifully and look upon the Lord's lotus face, which is beautified by reddish eyes rolling slightly from intoxication, and delighted by love for his devotees. Actually, we probably won't have time to read it, but in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, there's also another nice description of Balaram and his Ras Leela. Sometimes people don't realize that Balaram has his own set of gopis. He also has his own Rasa Leela. It's glorified in some of the Puranas. And Vrindavan Das Thakur, in the beginning of the Chaitanya Bhagavata, he's glorifying that also. But I have to stay on task here. So the next shloka says, Lord Sankarshana is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Ananta Deva. He is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the welfare of all living entities within this material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. God has feelings. He feels intolerant sometimes. He gets angry sometimes. Are you ready for that? All aspects are there in the Lord. We saw the previous verse. Sometimes he feels amorous, even with the Nagas in the hellish planets. Just like if you visit Ahobilam in Andhra Pradesh. Anybody has been there? Raise your hand. Famous Narasingha Kshetra. So in this place, there are 9 temples, and in one of those temples, the Lord is in love with Chenchu Lakshmi. Chenchu Lakshmi. Who's Chenchu Lakshmi? She's Adivasi Lakshmi. She's Lakshmi born as a tribal girl in that place. And the Lord, somehow or other, he developed a relationship with this incarnation of Lakshmi there, Chenchu Lakshmi. So similarly, Balaram, in his form as Ananta, he's exchanging amorous divine love with the Nagas, the girls of the Naga, hellish worlds, Patala Loka, beneath Patala Loka. So here also we see sometimes he's angry, but he restrains himself. That means he's not in the mode of ignorance, he's in charge of the mode of ignorance. And Shiva is deputed only by him to take that function as well. Shukdev Goswami continued, the demigods, demons, and uragas, the serpents, the siddhas, gandharvas, and vidyadharas, and many highly elevated sages constantly offer prayers to the Lord. Because he's intoxicated, the Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in full bloom, move to and fro. Utpullanayana. This is also described in the Jagannatha-ashtakam. Utpullanayana. Like eyes like blooming lotus flowers. And the pupils of his eyes are like little bumblebees buzzing in the lotus flower. When he goes to sleep at night, it's like a lotus flower closing up at the end of the day, and the little bees are trapped inside. When he awakens the next morning, the little bees fly out. And where do they fly? They fly to the lotus flower faces of the gopis. Muda abhiri nadi vadana kamalas fada madupa. They're like bees that drink the nectar from every face of every gopi is non-different from the nectar that gopi eternally embodies. In the spiritual world, you are your body. In this material world, you're not your body. This is a crucial lesson to get, first of all. Anyway, he pleases his personal associates, the heads of the demigods, by sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring, he holds a plow on his back with his 2 beautiful and well-constructed hands. Appearing as white as the heavenly King Indra, he wears a golden belt around his waist and a Jayanti garland of ever-fresh tulasi blossoms around his neck. Bees, intoxicated by the honey-like fragrance of the tulasi flowers, hum very sweetly around the garland, which thus becomes more and more beautiful. In this way, the Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes. Magnanimous pastimes. Remember, Balaram he's all about mercy, helping us. And he's very, very merciful. His pastimes are magnanimous. If persons who are, then listen carefully, this is an important verse. If persons who are very serious about being liberated from material life hear the glories of Anantadeva from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Sankarsana, the Lord enters the cores of their hearts, vanquishes all the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tightly tied since time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities. Does that sound familiar? Who knows another verse that corresponds to this principle from the first canto? Yes. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna ityadi. There's another nice one in the 11th canto that goes into a little more detail. Pungsam kalikratan doshan dravya deshatma sambhavan sarvan harati chittasto bhagavan purushottama. Bhagavan Purushottama within the heart, he removes all contaminations from within our hearts when he sees that we're seriously trying to hear about him, understand him, remember him, chant his holy name in absolute humility. Then he purifies all this infected goo within our hearts. He takes it all out. He can do that. It's not difficult for him. What kinds of contamination are specified in this verse? Dravya dosha. We have faulty resources, or not enough resources. Then desha sambhava doshas. We have faulty environment. The environment, everybody knows, is very difficult nowadays. The elements themselves are all contaminated. One toxicologist in Houston, Texas told me, in North America, even all the aquifers, what to speak of the wells, even all the aquifers are contaminated by arsenic, mercury, cadmium, all this effluent from agriculture, agribusiness that is, and industry. Everything is completely contaminated. So that's called Desh Sambhava Dosha. And finally, Atma Sambhava Doshas. We have our own baggage that we're bringing in with us from so many lifetimes as animals, or from so many lifetimes as serial killers, or kings, or demigods, or whatever it was that we were. And what's next? Do you know? We have no idea what's coming. Look around at the monkeys and the pigs and the dogs here in Vrindavan. That option is available in devotional service. If you want to be a devotee and maintain that consciousness, you can do it. Or if you want to forget Krishna altogether, then you can take the same verse but outside of Vrindavan. So take your pick. He's there. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha tamasi. This is Anantadev, Balaram. So therefore we worship him as Guru. Narad Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadev in his father's assembly. There he sings blissful verses of his own composition accompanied by his stringed instrument, known as tumburu. By his glance, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enables the modes of material nature to act as the causes of universal creation, maintenance, and destruction. The Supreme Soul is unlimited and beginningless, although he is one. He has manifested himself in many forms. How can human society understand the ways of the Supreme? Now there's a long purport here, and it's quoting a lot of the Bengali from a passage of the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is important. So I would like to read it quickly, conscious of the fact that time is running out. Time is always running out. It never stops ticking. And one-way traffic here. You only go towards death. I can speak so much about this. From the Vedic literature we learn that when the Supreme Lord glances, saikshata, over the material energy, the three modes of material nature become manifested and create material variety. Before he glances over the material energy, there is no possibility of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material world. The Lord existed before the creation, and consequently he is eternal and unchanging. Therefore, how can any human being, however great a scientist or philosopher he may be, understand the ways of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? The following quotations from Chaitanya Bhagavata, Adi Khanda 148 through 52 and 58 through 69, tell of the glories of Lord Ananta. I'm going to skip the Bengali, even though it's very sweet. Srila Prabhupada said Sanskrit is like gold, but Bengali is like pure silver. It's also very nice, but we have to skip it. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the four Kumars, Vyasdev, Shukdev Goswami, and Narad Muni are all pure devotees, eternal servants of the Lord. Lord Shri Ananta is worshipped by all the uncontaminated devotees mentioned above. He has thousands of hoods and is the reservoir of all devotional service. Lord Ananta is the original person and the great mystic controller. At the same time, he is a servant of God, a Vaishnava. Since there is no end to his glories, no one can understand him fully. Here, Balaram is called by four names: Adi Deva, Mahayogi, Ishwara, and Vaishnava. Lord Balaram is all of them. I've already spoken to you of his service to the Lord. Now hear how the self-sufficient Anantadev exists in the lower planetary system of Patala. Simply due to the glance of Ananta, the three material modes of nature interact and produce creation, maintenance, and annihilation. These modes of nature appear again and again. The Lord is glorified as one without a second and as the supreme truth who has no beginning. Therefore he is called Anantadeva. His form is completely spiritual and he manifests it only by his mercy. All the activities in this material world are conducted only in his form. He is very powerful and always prepared to please his personal associates and devotees. So if you become a devotee of Balaram, you're safe, because he's always prepared to please his pure devotees. If we simply try to engage in the congregational chanting of the glories of Lord Anantadev, the dirty things in our hearts accumulating during many births will immediately be washed away. Therefore, a Vaishnava never loses an opportunity to glorify Anantadeva. This is Vrindavan Das Thakur speaking. Lord Anantadeva is known as Shesha, the unlimited end, because he ends our passage through this material world. Simply by chanting his glories, everyone can be liberated. There's another definition of Shesha given. Does anyone know? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes, why is Lord Balaram also called Shesha? Here, Vrindavan Das Thakur says, because Shesha means the end. He ends material existence. Therefore, he's called Shesh. But there's another reason that he's called Shesha. Shesha, Ananta Shesh in particular. That is that he takes unlimited modes of service to the Supreme Lord. This is also how he is Guru. Not only is he awakening us by dispelling our ignorance, not only is he enlightening us through his representative, the bona fide spiritual master, but he himself is acting as a servant of the Lord in so many capacities. In so many capacities. What capacities? How does Balaram serve the Lord? In what form? His bedstead, Shayyasana, his, Yes. By his dress, his bedstead, umbrella, his shoes are also forms of Anantadev. The puja paraphernalia that you worship the Lord, that is also Baladev. All these forms he's taken it. Shesh, Ananta Shesh, unlimited. So, while bearing the universe on one of his hoods, Lord Anantadev chants the glories of Krishna with each of his thousands of mouths. Although he has been chanting the glories of Lord Krishna since time immemorial, he has still not come to their end. To this very day, Lord Ananta continues to chant the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and still he finds no end to them. Now we're back to Shukadeva Goswami. The manifestation of subtle and gross matter exists within the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of causeless mercy towards his devotees, he exhibits various forms, which are all transcendental. The Supreme Lord is most liberal, and he possesses all mystic power. To conquer the minds of his devotees and give pleasure to their hearts, he appears in different incarnations and manifests many pastimes. Even if he be distressed or degraded, any person who chants the holy name of the Lord, having heard it from a bona fide spiritual master, is immediately purified. Even if he chants the Lord's name jokingly or by chance, he and anyone who hears him are freed from all sins. Therefore, how can anyone seeking disentanglement from the material clutches avoid chanting the name of Lord Shesha? Of whom else should one take shelter? Because the Lord is unlimited, no one can estimate his power. This entire universe, filled with its many great mountains, rivers, oceans, trees, and living entities, is resting just as an atom on one of his many thousands of hoods. Is there anyone, even with thousands of tongues, who can describe his glories? There is no end to the great and glorious qualities of that powerful Lord Anantadeva. Indeed, his prowess is unlimited. Though self-sufficient, he himself is the support of everything. He resides beneath the lower planetary systems and easily sustains the entire universe. Just see. We mentioned already one aspect of Lord Balaram's gurutva, his being guru, is his example. He serves the Lord. And he also has the example of serving the Lord in all humility. Where does he live? Hell. At the bottom of the universe. And he holds us all up. Therefore he's called Dharani Dhara. Dharani. This earth is called Dharani. Why Dharani? Dharani means she bears everything. No matter what you do to the earth, she bears it. Right? Think about it. All the things we do to the earth, she bears it quietly. Dharati is all she's also called. So he's Dharani Dhara. He upholds that earth on his head. And he himself situates himself below her. And even below hell. This is Balaram's wonderful, wonderful character. So, my dear king, as I heard it from my spiritual master, I have fully described to you the creation of this material world according to fruitive activities and the desires of conditioned souls. Those conditioned souls who are full of material desires achieve various situations in different planetary systems, and in this way they live within this material creation. My dear king, I've thus described how people generally act according to their different desires, and as a result get different types of bodies in higher or lower planets. You inquired of these things from me, and I've explained to you whatever I've heard from authorities. So this is the end of this chapter. Again, we're just talking about Lord Balaram's interaction with the material world here. We don't have time, unfortunately. We're out of time now to speak more about it. I've covered perhaps not even a third, maybe about a quarter of all the things that I had planned to say. But you can't do it because he's Ananta. But I will just, I'll try to read a few things from Chaitanya Bhagavat very quickly. In Adi Khanda chapter 1, text number 38, Vrindavan Das Thakur writes, one who has no love for Lord Balaram after hearing the Srimad-Bhagavatam is rejected by both the Lord and his devotees. A very strong statement. Then he goes on to talk a little bit about the Lord's glories. Text 43, he says, Lord Balaram appears in various forms as the servant of the Lord. He manifests these symptoms in his various incarnations. Lord Balaram serves Krishna in 10 different ways. We've already mentioned some. As his friend, brother, fan, bed, carrier, residence, umbrella, garments, ornaments, and sitting place. In all these forms he serves himself. Whoever receives his mercy, one can understand this truth. O my Lord, when will I satisfy you and Lakshmi, who are both seated on the serpent bed of Ananta? Although Ananta is your transcendental personal expansion, he has accepted your service in the form of your residence, bed, sitting place, slippers, garments, pillow, and umbrella. Therefore, he is appropriately known by people as Shesha. This is from the Stotra Ratnam. The most powerful Garuda, the expansion of Anantadev, enjoys his pastimes as Krishna's carrier. Did you know that Garuda is an expansion of Shesh? This is what he's just told us. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, the four Kumars, Vyasdev, Shukdev Goswami, and Narada are all pure devotees. Lord Ananta is worshipped by all the uncontaminated devotees. We've already read this from the from the Bhagavatam purport. Srila Prabhupada has given us. Ananta is the first incarnation of the Lord and the master of all mystic power. At the same time, he is the servant of God, a Vaishnava. Therefore, there is no end to his glories. No one can understand him fully. I've already spoken to you of Anantadev's influential service to the Lord. Now hear how the self-sufficient Ananta exists in the lower planetary system. That also we've read, because he's just quoting from Srimad-Bhagavatam, 5th canto here. Although Sri Ananta tries to reach the shore of the ocean of Krishna's qualities, he's unable to do so, for the ocean is continually expanding. Neither I nor all the sages born before you know fully the omnipotent personality of Godhead, so what can others who are born after us know about him? Even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesh, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge, even though he is describing the qualities of the Lord with his 1,000 phases. The most powerful Lord Ananta Shesh happily resides in Rasatala in order to maintain the universe. I think it's time for me to stop, but if anybody has a question, maybe we can deal with some. Sundarlal Prabhu. We have a microphone, so speak loud. Yeah, say it again, because I didn't hear it.
It's described that Lord Shiva is also called Shankar.
Yes. Yes. They're all the same. Actually, he says here, his question is that it is described that Lord Shiva is called Sankarshan, and Ananta Shesha is also called Sankarshan, so how does that work? The fact of the matter is, as Vrindavan Das Thakur has written here, actually it's Krishnadas Kaviraj, I believe, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he writes that whether we call him Nityananda or Balaram or Ananta or Shesha or Sankarshana, they're all the same. They're all one and the same person, but different aspects. When he is upholding the material creation at the bottom of the universe, then he's called Dharanidhara or Ananta Shesha. When he is destroying the cosmos, then he's called Tamasi or Rudra, as we heard. When he is drawing the living entities towards his younger brother, Krishna, he's called Sankarshana. When he's plowing the fields in Vrindavan in order to please Nanda Maharaj, he's also called Sankarshana. They're all the same thing. They have different meanings, these different names of the Lord, but he's the same person. Shiva is but his partial expansion, Mahavishnu is but his partial expansion, Lord Nityananda is his complete form, but in a different appearance, you see. So they're all the same. Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam. Is that okay? Speak loud. I don't see a microphone. Shiva. Balarama. Yes. 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 So I mentioned that Lord Balaram is serving Krishna, or rather he is the deity of those who want to serve in Vatsalya or in Sakhirasa or in Dasya Bhav. That's pretty much all of us. But Sundarlal Prabhu has pointed out that also it's even Madhurya, because in his esoteric form as Ananga Manjari he's affecting that. He's taking part in some degree in Krishna's Madhurya Rasa Leelas as well. That's a fact. Okay, so if there's no other questions, we'll stop now. Guru Prasad Maharaj will eradicate whatever misconceptions I've created and give you the real essence of Lord Balaram. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.